Hi, I'm John the S-Pod guy. Welcome to Spyder News.
Hi, and welcome to another edition of Spyder News. We've been talking the last few weeks about some of the new parts we're going to introduce at Off-Road Expo in the next couple of weeks. I think I'd like to spend a few minutes today and show you a few things that are completed and ready to go. One of them I've got my hand on here, and that's the LJ full cage. This is the first full replacement cage we've had for the LJ since we've opened Poison Spyder. So this is a full replacement cage, which means you take your entire factory cage out and you can replace it with this. This is available as one of our laser kit cages, which if you haven't seen these yet, they're laser cut, CNC bent, and laser notched, and every part number is etched on the corresponding tube. So let's say this tube might be tube A, there'll be an A or a 1 etched into this tube. So if that tube doesn't fit perfectly, it's in the wrong spot. So you don't need a tape measure, maybe a ratchet strap, and 4 or 5 hours, and you can have one of these cages installed in your Jeep. Most of these are also available fully welded. Our TJ cage and our YJ cage you can buy as a fully welded kit. We put it on the pellet and it ships to you as a fully welded cage, and it truly is a bolt-in cage at that point. This, we don't know if we're going to be able to do that yet. We haven't figured out the shipping, but it will be available as a Lazer-Fit cage. Also, while we had the LJ here, we test fit the trail cage. Of course, we've already got it for the front half, which is the same as what you would have in your TJ, but we've developed the rear half of the trail cage also, and that'll be available probably around Expo or after Expo also. Another new part for the Expo is part of, and we kind of teased a little bit about a stretch kit. What we've done is taken our rockers on this particular one, and we brought it all the way back to the wheel opening. So typically our flares or rockers would stop at the flare. In this case, we brought it to the wheel opening, and this wheel opening is cut for a 40-inch tire. So this is our Highline stretch kit. So if you were to buy our Coil kit, which we'll talk about a little bit here, and the stretch kit, you'd get the rockers, the corners, and optional flares if you decide you want it. And as you can see behind here, we've got our coilover conversion towers. This tower is specific for a 12-inch box shock on your with a 4-inch stretch. We've taken the gas tank, cut the factory crossmember out, and moved it back 4 inches, so you don't have to buy an expensive aftermarket tank to do this stretch on an LJ. There is a few modifications we did on that gas tank skid, which we'll spell out for you when we put this kit together. But for right now, you've got a 4-inch stretch on an LJ, which would include the corners, the rockers, optional flares, and if you wanted to do coilovers, you could do the coilover tower, and the instructions on how to modify the skid plate. I'm standing in front of our buddy, S-Pod John's brand new 2012 Gekko green Jeep. This two-door will be his display Jeep for the next year. Its first show will be Off-Road Expo, and it'll probably be the next time you see this. It's leaving here today. It's not quite done, but our portion is done. We put a rock crawler suspension system on this, and a new set of flares front and rear, and some special stuff in the corner or in the back that we'll show you in a little bit. This is leaving here, of course, not done. John's got 10 days to get it finished. He's got wheels and tires and a few more things to button up before it goes to the show. But we appreciate him letting us borrow this for a while so we can test fit these new parts. And I'll show you what else we've done here. Poison Spyder crusher flares are the #1 selling metal JK flare in the world. They're also the strongest JK flare in the world. With years of manufacturing these, we've learned quite a bit. What we've learned is that the JK guys want these to be really easy to install, so we've done a few things to make those a little bit easier to install. We've also learned over the years that tire sizes seem to be getting bigger, so we've made the wheel openings slightly larger. We've also learned there's a lot of guys like me that want their tire to be the first thing that hits the wall when they're in a tight trail, and not necessarily their flare, but they still want the protection of a flare. So we've come up with a few new designs. We've got a 2-inch narrower flare than our previous design for those of you that want to have the strength of a flare but not necessarily the full width or the full coverage of a flare. We also have a 2-inch wider flare than our other flare set. This allows those that have run aftermarket wheels and tires and have really strict flare laws or wheel coverage loss to be able to get their annual inspection. So we have a narrower flare, a wider flare, and while we had the drawings open and we were redrawing the narrow and the wide, we've also made a few changes to our standard width flare, which is the same width as the JK factory flare. So all of these combined will be available just after Expo. The narrow will be available after Expo, or at Expo, and the rest will be available shortly thereafter. Also, why John's Jeep was here in the shop, we were able to test fit a brand new part. This is a part that's still in development, but it's one of the new parts we've been able to play with now that we have a laser and press brake in-house. This is the only 3/16 form-fitting JK corner available today. Or the only one you don't have to cut out any material to get to fit. The only material you have to remove here is what you need to remove to get these new taillights in. And again, these taillights may not be in the final design. This is the first article. And John's leaving today, so they had to go. But it's designed to follow the contours of the JK's body, both this way and this way, which is pretty tough to do unless it's a stamped piece. By cutting these in-house, it also allows us to do what we've been able to do with the TJ for a while, and that is put any wheel opening in that the customer specs. This particular one is cut for a 40-inch tire. It's been moved back 3 inches to accommodate the Rock Crawler 3-inch stretch kit, and it still has the brackets in here that you see in our standard crusher flares that isn't available on any other JK crusher corner on the market today. So it also allows you to attach the flares right to the flare, which isn't available on our other version. We'll still have the other version in case you don't run any corners at all, but this will make a much easier install for us here in the shop, which hopefully will translate into less cost down the road. But again, the only form-fit JK crusher flare on the market. These will be available ultimately in both steel and aluminum, and you won't have to cut anything but the taillight holes when you put these on. So we're looking forward to this. It's again another one of the toys we get to play, or another one of the products we get to play with by having the laser and press brake in-house. So you'll see these at Expo. Probably won't be available for a few months after that, but they are in development, and I'd like to show them off when you get there. They'll be in the S-Pod John booth, so make sure you find John at Expo so you can take a look at them. Hope you've enjoyed checking out a few of our new products. I've certainly enjoyed showing them to you. We're pretty excited about it, and of course that was just a sampling of what we're going to introduce here in the next couple of weeks. This is one of the tools. This is our new 4,000 watt laser that is allowing us to build a lot of these new parts. So the 10 or 15 we got for you at Expo are only a sampling of what we're hopefully to have in the future because of some of our new capabilities. So stay tuned.